Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of February 27th to March 5th, where I take a look at some of the stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion about them. And we have 4 stories to cover for this week, including the Pokemon Present, or the Pokemon Direct, that happened this week, though. We have also some sales numbers, or at least some reports about how well Elden Ring did so far, at least in the UK to be exact, though. A hack from one of the Nvidia servers may have just gave us an idea of what the next Switch might be like, and excuse me, and the gaming industry is responding to basically what is going on with the crisis in Ukraine that really has dominated the news lately and all that stuff. And if you're interested in where I got a lot of my information or information from, though, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I would like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cents. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details or anything like that. The first one has to do with basically Nintendo Switch Online members will now be getting rewards for certain missions they do. Most of these are like icons and all that stuff. To me, it might be, I'm not really into that stuff. It might be for some folks, but just really doesn't click with me or anything like that. We also learned that the upcoming release of Persona 4 Arena Ultimate, that will be for the Nintendo Switch, will not be getting an important update for, the online fighting areas compared to how the PS4 and other versions will be, which almost makes it kind of come off as a reason why maybe you shouldn't pick this up for the Nintendo Switch or anything like that. I don't know why they didn't add this feature or anything like that. From what I understand, Capcom's fighting game collection that was announced last week, I think that's going to have like this netcode, if I'm saying it correctly, and all that. They're going to have it, but yet for some reason it's not going to be in Persona 4 Arena Ultimate. I have no idea or anything why they are not doing that or anything like that. We also learned that Xbox Wire has officially launched in Japan, which is kind of interesting, though, because we've seen, which is sort of neat, though, because we've seen lately the Xbox Series system seem to be doing fairly better in Japan than, say, like what was during like the Xbox One era, to be exact. While I won't go as far as saying it's going to overtake the Nintendo Switch or the PS5, I think it's unlikely like that it's going to happen, though. It is sort of interesting to see that it looks like those systems is certainly doing better than they were before, though. And so it's interesting that Xbox is going to be launching the Xbox Wire in Japan, though. We also learned that Nintendo has withdrawn the Super Smash Bros. Games from the EVO 2022, though. It's sort of odd why they would want to do this, though, considering that there would be that kind of game would be great for, these fighting game tournaments and all. I know Nintendo has been hosting their own tournaments, ranging from Smash Brothers to Splatoon and everything like that, but still, I think it is a little bit ridiculous that they have decided to basically decided to withdraw Super Smash Bros. From it, though, considering how popular that game is, to be exact, though. We also learned that one of the Digimon games is still in development, though, but there has been no sign of a release date, though. Supposedly this game was supposed to come out last year but got delayed and so forth, so it's certainly nice to see that it's still alive, but basically it's a little disappointing we don't have a release date. And in the non-gaming side, the movies, though, we've learned that Crunchyroll, which is owned by Sony, has now absorbed all of Funimation's content, though, for like the ultimate anime library, which is good for those who are big on animes, to be exact, though. It's worth pointing out, I believe Sony owns both Crunchyroll and Funimation, though, so certainly nice to get a lot of your animes into like one section and all that stuff. We also learned that the voice actor who voiced Bender in the Futurama series will now be part of the Futurama revival, which basically brings us to the end of Bendergate, which is certainly nice that all the original voice actors are going to be back and that the series is making a comeback, though, which seems to be odd considering the series came to an end on Comedy Central, but hopefully it finds success the way Animaniacs has saw a revival on Hulu and all. We also learned that some of Netflix's Marvel series are going to be making their way over to basically Disney Plus. This includes stuff like Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and so forth, and even Punisher, which is very interesting that they are bringing these content over. Though it is kind of curious to see, will we still have that TVMA or that R-rated look, or are they going to push it down to a PG-13, which I'm a little mixed if they decide to take that approach. But in either case, it seems to be in response to the fact that basically that there's been sort of an addition to Disney Plus, which is the whole parental control and all that stuff. And last but not least, though, it is reported that Disney and Warner Brothers has now officially paused the release of some of their movies into Russia, though. This includes movies like the upcoming WB or the recently be out in theaters, though, the Batman. This is all in response to what is going on in Ukraine in terms of Russia invading Ukraine, though. I'm going to get more to that at part 4 or so, but it's certainly very interesting to see a lot of industry responding to what is going on in Ukraine, indeed, though. Okay, with the quick My 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with the Pokemon Present, though. Now, obviously, the Pokemon Company held their version of the Direct, the Pokemon Present, though, and while I admit I'm not a really big Pokemon fan or anything like that, they did make some interesting announcements. Nevertheless, though, some people may be okay with some of these announcements. Some people may not be. In terms of what they announced at the Pokemon presentation, let me get the article out. Did I get it out? Apparently, what they have announced is that a upcoming Pokemon game, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. They also announced updates for basically Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Pokemon Shining Pearl, and the update for the recent release of Pokemon Legends Arceus, though. In addition to our in-game events for Pokemon Go, Pokemon Cafe, Remix, Pokemon Master EX, and Pokemon Unite in celebration of Pokemon's 26th anniversary, though. They announced some of the new Pokemons. I have a hard time saying their names to be exact, but from what I understand, there's a Grass Cat Pokemon, a Fire Croc Pokemon, a Duckling Pokemon, though. They talked about how Pokemon Arceus will be getting an update, version 1.10, though. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, and some more in terms of talk about the in-game events, though. It's sort of surprising to see them announce Pokemon, the two Pokemon games at the same time, because I was thinking that after Pokemon Arceus Legends was coming out, that's what changed the approach that the Pokemon Company would take in terms of doing one game rather than two games at the same time, though. But for some reason, they decided to just go ahead and release to do two games, though, which I really think, in my honest opinion, I really think they should drop that approach and focus on just, having one game and just basically put like DLCs into it, though. Not overdo it with the DLCs, but put DLCs in there rather than releasing two games at the same time. But either way, interesting what they announced at the Pokemon Present, though. Again, like I said, I'm not really a big Pokemon fan, but everyone has their own preference and taste, though. So overall, if you like what they announced at Pokemon Present, though, then obviously you liked it, though. Whether you think you like this approach of them releasing two versions of a Pokemon game or not, whether you think they should continue with that or not, that is your call at the end of the day. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one, we're going to be talking about basically Elden Rings and supposedly how well it did in the UK and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be talking about Elden Ring, though. Now, as some of you are aware, Elden Ring has recently came out. It's the new game from Software and Bandai Namco. I'm sure most of you are aware of it. It's basically the Souls-like games. If you ever played games like Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, or Sekiro Shadow Die Twice, or even games that are similar to those type of games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, or my personal favorite, Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja's Neo, though, it's basically a type of game that is known for its difficulty, though, and it's one of those you gotta, try to learn from your mistakes and so forth, though. But in either case, though, the game came out, and it has certainly gotten a lot of good reviews of it and all, and I've been playing a little bit of it on my Xbox Series S, though, and I will say that it definitely is an enjoyable game, and I like some of the approaches that the developers have done for the game, though. Well, recently we've started to learn about how well has the game done so far, and while we don't have the official US charts at this time, though, we'll have to wait and see until the NPD charts come out, though, we are learning about basically how the game fared in the UK, and if what we're seeing in the UK is true, though, it could give us an idea of how the game might do here in the US once the NPD numbers come out, though. In an article posted on GameIndustry.biz, apparently it seems as though that Elden Rings is the #1 game in the GfK UK charts this week and has smashed the launch sales of previous Souls-like game, though. It pretty much overtook Horizon Forbidden West, which was first last week, though, and it moved Pokemon Legends Arceus down to at #3. What's also interesting, though, about it is that here's what they have to say. Quote, "The previous biggest Soul game launch at box retails was 2016's Dark Souls 3, but Elden Rings has beaten that title box launch by 26%. This is before we consider the digital sales, and the download gaming market has accelerated significantly since 2016. The digital sales data arrives later in the week. It is the third biggest retail launch this year behind Pokemon Legend Arceus and narrowly behind last week's Horizon Forbidden West. 63% of the box sales were on PS5, with 17% being on Xbox, 17% being on PS4, and 3% being on PC. They do want to point out that PC and Xbox are heavily digital platforms, probably the Xbox Series S, and maybe the Xbox X as well, and this is from the box art sales. However, in terms of digital sales, according to Pure Xbox, they point out, and this is what they had to say, quote, "The figures also highlight how much the Xbox player base has gone digital. Almost 85% of Elden Ring's UK sales on Xbox were digital, compared to with just over 50% on the PlayStation platform. That probably explains the huge platform sales gulf discovered earlier this week." So it does sound like, in terms of the sales-wise, though, physically, though, the PlayStation version sold more, but in terms of digitally, the Xbox version sold more, at least on that part. But either way, though, it's really nice to see the game doing very well in terms of sales-wise, though. It would be very interesting to see whether this opens the door to a sequel to maybe a Elden Ring 2, or whether or not another game but takes what they've learned from Elden Ring, to be exact. So time will ultimately tell how it is, and it will be interesting to see if we do see any kind of DLC that comes to Elden Ring or not, though. But in either way, it does sound like Elden Ring is off to a very good start, though. But it remains to be seen how it will play out in the US, though. I think it will do well, but again, we'll have to wait until those NPD numbers come out, though. One last thing about Elden Rings, and this has to do with the issue about its difficulty, though. If there's one thing about these Soul board games or Soul-like games are known for, they are known to be very, very difficult games. They can be somewhat of a turn-off for some folks out there. There are those who are okay with those difficulties, and that's fine. And there are those who are, well, not okay with it, to be exact, though. There were some issues about whether or not there should be an easy mode or casual mode in terms of for a game like Elden Rings, though. The developers have recently responded to that, and according to an article from Pure Xbox, it reads that, quote, speaking of a few days ago, Elden Ring's director gave his thoughts on players who find his games too difficult, explains that he feels apologetic towards those people, but they are all about overcoming hardship. Here's what he had to say in an interview with the New Yorker. Said, quote, I do feel apologetic towards anyone who feels there's too much to overcome in my games. I just want as many players as possible to experience the joy that comes from overcoming hardship, though. Now, for me, though, I think there's two arguments that could be made about this, though. I do agree to some extent. It is true that I think an easy or casual mode would have been nice for them to add to it, especially for those who either aren't sure about these type of games and just want to try it out, or go more like at their own luxury or own pace or own leisure and all that. So I think there's some truth to that argument, though. That being said, though, I do want to say for the record that no matter how you look at it, though, at the end of the day, it is going to be the developer's decision. They are ultimately going to be the ones that have to decide whether or not they want to raise the difficulty to a game or not. If they want to make it very challenging or accessible for as many people as possible. So it's the developer's call, and if they decide that they do not want to add a casual or easy mode, that's their decision, to be exact, though. And despite that call, though, it doesn't seem to have stopped people from buying the game or anything like that. So my takeaway from that argument is that I think there's some truth to that argument, though. I can see some reasons why people want to see an easy or casual mode, and I don't completely disagree with that. But I don't deny the fact that this ultimately falls on the developers and the publishers, and they'll ultimately have to say whether they want to add a mode like that. And if they don't feel like they want to go that direction, then you know what? That's their call. I mean, you may disagree with it, but at the end of the day, that is their call, though. So overall, I would say great to see Elden Rings off to a great start, though. Still curious to see about basically how it will do in the US in terms of sales numbers and all. And as far as an easy mode goes, there's some arguments in favor of it, though. Like I said, I don't completely disagree, but I also don't deny it is a developer's call at the end of the day, no matter what. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with supposedly a hack leak on Nvidia that could give us an idea of possibly what the next Nintendo Switch might be. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be talking about a interesting rumor that has popped up over a supposed cyber attack on Nvidia that has now led to a speculation of the possibility we could see the next Nintendo Switch. Now, as some of you are aware, this is the 5th anniversary since the Nintendo Switch has come out, and it has really taken taken the world by storm, to be exact, though. The Switch came out at a time when Nintendo was in a very rough spot following the failure of the Wii U, and there were people who weren't sure if this whole hybrid, console handheld hybrid would work. 5 years later, the Switch is still going strong even after all this year, despite competition from, like Microsoft and Sony with their recent release of the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, to the recent release of Valve's Steam Deck that has just recently came out as well. But even with the Switch's success, mostly between those 5 years, though, we've had basically people speculate of when the next Nintendo Switch will come out, like the Switch Pro or Switch 2 and all. And this speculation has happened pretty much every year, to be exact. Last year, Bloomberg put out a report claiming about the next Nintendo Switch, which later Nintendo shot down, and the next Nintendo Switch turned out to be the Switch OLED. And while certain things were correct in terms of going with an OLED screen, to be exact, it wasn't the major graphical bound or leap as the report from Bloomberg recently said said, though? Well, now recently we're hearing speculation, the possibility that the next Nintendo Switch, at least if these rumors are true, bear in mind, they are rumors, so grain of salt should always be taken with it, though. But it sounds like it could give us an idea what the next Nintendo Switch might be and all. From an article posted on Game Radar, it reads that, quote, a massive Nvidia leak has once again reignited speculations around a potential Nintendo Switch Pro, which Nintendo has yet to confirm. The folks at Tech Power Up share details of what they describe as the mother of all cyber attacks, and Nintendo's SLEUTH NW Player 123 dissected what appears to be a reference to a Nintendo Switch successor in the leak code. This person translation of the files that leak the code suggests that Nintendo is still running with the NX code name and NVA API from way back before the original Switch was announced. That, combined with the fact that Nintendo has repeatedly said the Switch is still in the middle of its life cycle, seems to be evidence that the hardware reference in the leak isn't a full-blown successor, LE Switch 2, but rather an upgrade console like a Nintendo Switch Pro or perhaps a Super Nintendo Switch. Making a joke saying for the cool kids out there, though. That said, if the leak code is indie active or if it's mentioning of a new console in the work at Nintendo, it would seem to support DLSS, Nvidia's latest super sampling tech. There are also references to ray tracing, which would be a huge step in the visual department from the original Switch, was it's nearing its 5th birthday. Basically, if this really is a Switch Pro we're looking at here, it sounds like it could be a much more powerful console. Now, obviously, it is a rumor, so basically a grain of salt is going to have to be taken on this before we confirm whether or not this is true or not. That being said, though, and putting aside this cyber attack that Nvidia just went through, though, it wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo is working on the next Nintendo Switch, though. I'm really not sure they would probably want to do a successor for the Switch at this time, considering how popular the Switch is, to be exact, though. But a more powerful Switch I could see happening, though. I could see them implicate this DLSS technology in this new Nintendo Switch, though. But if Nintendo were to release a more powerful Nintendo Switch, if that were to happen, I would say I don't think it will be as powerful as, say, like the PS5 or the Xbox Series X or S or anything like that. It might be as powerful as the PS4 or Xbox One, maybe more powerful than those systems, but I just don't think it will be on the same level as the PS5 or the Xbox Series X and S. But to see the fact that it might use DLSS technology is kind of interesting, considering that technology supposedly does help in some areas, though, so it might be helpful for developers, though. And we have heard last week, I believe it was last week, that supposedly Nintendo Switch board is using this AMD technology that helps with some of the frame rates or rendering in certain areas. There are rumors that that's being used for the Nintendo Switch Sports that Nintendo is working on. So right now it's all pure speculations, but given Nintendo and Nvidia's relationship at this time, and supposedly it's supposed to last for up to 2 decades, last time I heard that, though, I wouldn't be surprised if this rumor is true. It wouldn't surprise me if the next, if we get like a Switch Pro or Switch 2, and that it is a more powerful Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure it's going to have ray tracing. I have my doubts about that, but hey, I've seen some things. The mobile chips have certainly changed over the years, so I can't rule out the possibility that ray tracing is going to be in it, though. Although I am curious to see how it would work on a Nintendo Switch, particularly a more powerful Switch, if these rumors are true, though. One thing I do want to say is that if a new Nintendo Switch is going to happen, if a Switch Pro or Switch 2 does happen, though, hopefully they can address the whole Joy-Con drift issues that some people have had with their Nintendo Switch. While not necessarily widespread, though, there's no denying the fact that some people have had issues with that. So hopefully Nintendo could address that. But overall, I would say it's still a rumor, nevertheless. I would take it with a grain of salt, though, but I would say at the same time, I don't think Nintendo is going to abandon the Switch concept and design anytime soon. I could definitely see a more powerful Switch happening, and given the fact that Nintendo and Nvidia's partnership seems to be pretty good at this moment, though, it wouldn't surprise me if they start maybe implementing, maybe we'll start adding the DLSS technology, or look for a more powerful Tegra X1 chip to power the new Nintendo Switch and all. All I ask for is that if a new Nintendo Switch does happen and it is a more powerful one, I do hope that backwards compatibility is in there. I personally think it's a must, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with the gaming industry responding to the crisis that is going on in Ukraine, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at about the situation in Ukraine and how this has evolved the gaming industry, though. Now, I'm sure most of you have been watching on the news, and it's been on the news lately. Russia has invaded Ukraine and all, and we've seen a lot of reports ranging from sanctions being placed on Russia and all, and there has been push, and we've also seen a lot of, even the private sector has done some parts of it, ranging from suspending, Russia from the FIFA, or at least certain parts people are suspending doing business with Russia and all. And now we're also learning how the gaming industry has, to some degree, gotten involved, to even some games or some situations has been delayed, to be exact, though. We've seen recently with a game like Stalker 2, which was originally supposed to come out in April, and that was supposed to come out in December, now has been delayed indefinitely due to, right now, the crisis in Ukraine. The developers of Stalker 2 are based in Ukraine, though. Well, now we're starting to see that other companies are basically stopping doing business, not only in Russia, but also Belarus, that has also helped Russia during the invasion of Ukraine, though. Several articles seem to have pointed to this, though. We learned that recently Nintendo has suspended eShop payments in Russia. The translation from a Google automatic translation reads that, quote, "Due to the fact that the payment service used in Nintendo eShop has suspended the process of payment in rubles, that's the Russian currency, Nintendo eShop in Russia is temporarily placed in maintenance mode. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. We will share updates as the situation develops, though." The article says at present it's unclear if Nintendo itself is behind the suspension or it's effectively closure of the digital store is due to a third-party payment service provider in the region ceased to process purchase. The wording of the translate statements, it would suggest the latter, though. It's worth pointing out that since Russia was hit by sanctions, their currency has fallen really bad. Meanwhile, though, companies have taken some positions on this, such as the Pokemon company has announced that they plan to donate around $200,000 to our partners at Global Grievance to provide humanitarian relief, donated to basically the situation in Ukraine, though. Meanwhile, CD Projekt Red, the folks behind the Witcher series and Cyberpunk 2077, has now said that they would cease the distribution of its titles in both Russia and Belarus. Part of the highlight from their tweet is that, in light of Russia's military invasion in our neighborhood country of Ukraine, until further notice, the CD Projekt Red group has made a decision to halt all sales of our games to Russia and Belarus. Today, we've been working with our partners to suspend digital sales and cease physical stock deliveries of CD Projekt Group's production, as well as all games distributed on the GOG platform to the territories of Russia and Belarus. They said that they stand with the people of Ukraine. They also mentioned, while we are not a political entity capable of directing influence state matters and don't aspire to be one, we do believe that the commercial entities, when united, have the power to inspire global change in the hearts and minds of ordinary people. We know that players in Russia and Belarus, individuals who have nothing to do with the invasion of Ukraine, will be impacted by this decision, but with this action, we wish to further galvanize the global community to speak about what's going on in the hearts of Europe. To our brothers and sisters fighting for their home country, stay strong, though. EA has made a statement on terms of their title saying that EA Sports stands in solidarity with the Ukrainian people, and like so many voices across the world of football, calls for peace and an end to the invasion of Ukraine. In line with our partners and FIFA and UEFA, EA Sports has initiated process to remove the Russian national team and all Russian clubs from the EA Sports FIFA production, including FIFA 2022, FIFA Mobile, and FIFA Online. We're also actively evaluating related changes to other areas of our game. We will keep our community up to date of any actions taken, and thanks players for their patience as we work through these updates, though. So it seems that a lot of the gaming industry is also getting on board. We've learned that the creator of Doom is basically going to sort of create a level for the Doom 2 and donate it to basically the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, though. So it's very impressive to see a lot of industries, from the gaming industry to others, really hammer down Russia really hard on this, though. It's really a strong, in some ways, somewhat of a united front to a certain degree to call out this Russian aggression that we have recently seen lately in Ukraine, though. And to me, it sort of is very kind of eerie what we're seeing right now, because it almost feels like we're going back to the whole Cold War era, to be exact. And that was, yeah, I mean, I thought like the Cold War came to an end, but obviously what we're seeing here, it seems more like a completely different scenario, to be exact, though. So, I mean, part of me understands that this will impact Belarus and Russian gamers, to be exact, though, but at the same time, you can't really ignore the fact that actions need to be taken, though. And it's clear, though, that this is going to have a major impact on, part of it is going to have a major impact on the Russian economy because of all this situation. So it's pretty amazing on that part. Also, we've learned that, also it's important to mention, Microsoft has also suspended services over there in Russia as well, though. As for Stalker 2, though, as much as it is unfortunate that game's going to be on the sideline, though, it's understandable given the current situation in Ukraine. I think the safety of those employees are utmost important, to be exact. So, yeah, it sucks. Stalker 2 has been put on the sideline for now, though, but I think it's the right decision based on what is going on in Ukraine at this time and all that stuff. So, overall, it's very impressive to see a lot of industries, including the gaming industry, really rally against Russia for what Vladimir Putin is doing over there. It's really, it is kind of impressive to see what is going on, though. And my heart goes out to the people of Ukraine over there. I stand with them, though, and I do think that we do need to stand up to folks like Vladimir Putin and what he is doing and all. Okay, this concludes this My Two Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the Pokemon Present or the Pokemon Direct? Did you like what they showed at the Pokemon presentation? Did you not like what they showed? Are you glad they introduced 2 new Pokemon games? Or do you think they should have taken the approach of, Pokemon Legends Arceus and just go forward doing one game, though? What are your thoughts about Elden Rings doing well in the UK? Are you kind of surprised by this, though? Are you sort of surprised to see in terms of physical box copies, it did well on the PlayStation, while digital, it did well on the Xbox and PC, though? And do you think they should have added an easy or casual mode to Elden Rings or any of the Souls-like game, or you don't think they really should at all, to be exact? What are your thoughts about this leak in regards about the next Nintendo Switch, though? Do you think that this leak could be accurate? Do you think that the next Nintendo Switch will have DLSS or ray tracing, though? Do you think it will be a Switch Pro or Switch 2 or something completely different in any way? And what are your thoughts about the industry, the game industry, and a lot of them responding to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, though? Are you kind of surprised to see this happening, though? Are you not surprised at all, to be exact, though? Do you think it was the right decision to put Stalker 2 on the sideline for the time being in any way, though? And do you think more businesses should cut their ties of doing business with Belarus and Ukraine, Belarus and Russia in response to what's going on in Ukraine, though? Or do you have a different opinion about that, though? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye!